And now it's Deborah Cobelt Live and Little Italy Podcast.
Hi, everybody. Thanks so much for joining us today on our podcast. And please welcome Annalisa Giolo. Your artist name is Inanna, and there's so much that you do. So let me sort of get out your intro, and then we'll get talking about all that you're involved with. You're a songwriter and performer. You're the co-founder of Better Earth Media, and you create music and lyrics that benefit and highlight the environmental activism that you do. And many of those lyrics of your songs are now available in a book that you wrote, Acrotopia. And we're going to talk about that too and the meaning of the title of the book. Gosh, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. It's an honor. Thank you, Deborah.
Absolutely. Oh, and might I add, you are from Italy, which is why we are also streaming this on our Little Italy podcast. That's always a big plus for me, right? So I'm just so honored to have you here. Please talk to me about your work, your music, and why you co-founded Better Earth Media.
Sure. Yeah, it all started when I moved here to Los Angeles. Actually, I'm from Italy. I lived in Spain for many years, and I've always been doing music my whole life since I can
Yeah.
remember. But when I moved here, I felt like I wanted to do something more about my passion for nature and animals, and I wanted to kind of combine it with my passion for music. And it all started, around 2019 when all the protests and Greta Thunberg and all the climate protests starting really to rise more. And I felt this is what I want to do. I want to integrate my music and everything I've ever loved in the arts with a message of environmentalism and animal rights and love for nature and the future of the planet. And so Inanna was born. And since then, I haven't stopped. So many music videos and things have come out, and everything has an environmental issue at the core of it. So all all music videos have a different environmental topic, and all the songs touch on very different future related topics. And yeah, it's been a great journey, and there has been a great response. And at the beginning, I felt I was kind of alone in this journey because I felt like, oh, this is not really a movement yet. But in these 4 years, I've seen so much change. It's been incredible to see how the arts are starting to really participate in this and becoming a true movement for that becomes a true voice for the future of animals and nature.
Yeah, just to give our audience sort of an example, I mean, some of the titles to your songs, and I might have you read one if you don't mind, if you've got your book right in front of you. The beauty of all things, the battle. I really love that one. The battle, on fire. Big reason why you wrote On Fire, and then of course Ocean Song. That one in particular touched me. I'm a big ocean person. I go every day to say
Ah,
hello to the ocean and to walk the ocean. It's a big part of my life and always has been growing up as well.
hmm.
But they're touching, and I love the fact that you have this genre that you are so passionate about. Is there one you'd like to read to us right now, if you've got it right there in front of you?
Oh, of course, I have it.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, absolutely. Is there a favorite for you, or should I just go with one of the first?
No, go with what you love. What one? There's got to be one that's always your standout, right? Go ahead.
Yes, actually, I got here Collapse of an Empire, which is one of my favorites.
Okay.
And it was released last year. And it was a reflection on um, everything that doesn't serve the earth at some point is destined to collapse. And so
Mm,
this was kind of a reflection on the collapse of a certain kind of capitalism or economic system that never thinks of the future of the planet and never thinks long term. So kind of exploitative capitalism, if you want to call it. So it says this erosion of systems and citadels began with a sneer of cold command. This ruthless empire is only bound to collapse on itself. In this power game, so many left behind, while we're clenching our old heartless ways. Some things just need to crumble. They're tainted and corrupted. Sometimes we need to crumble to be closer to the earth. But we can let it go. We can let it fall. We will still be here. We can let it go. No need to be afraid, but this is not a game. Colossus on feet of clay. We can let it go. It's the end of this era, and we all know. Get rid of all suffocating things. The collapse of this empire can liberate, and our souls are ready to transcend. An empire built on pain, is it right for it to reign, or will its colossal wreck free us all? If we let go of this tension and reckon new dimensions, we'll break this spell and dance all the rhythms of the earth. And then it repeats. Yes.
That's pretty powerful stuff, I have to tell you. That's incredible. What inspired you to write that? Did you write that here at the US? Like, for example, you're from Italy, I know, and you moved here 4 years ago. And we're also going to talk about that because how you ended up moving here is sort of a funny story to me. But were you more inspired to write this type of music once you came here? Or this is something you've always thought about? Tell me.
I think I was definitely more inspired when I moved here because it was a big change anyway. I was
Yeah.
Spain. I had a complete, new space where to create. And also a lot of things changed in my life at that point because my husband and I, who's an environmental journalist, we started getting more and more into environmental topics and getting more informed, and I decided to go vegan, for example, for animal rights reasons. So I also entered that space, and I simply got very documented about a lot of things. And I felt that I simply wanted to use all my skills and everything I had at the service of this, because I felt this is definitely the most urgent topic of our times, and it's the thing that really unites us all as humans, like taking care of the future of our home. And I thought, this is what I want to do. I really have to put everything into this, and I want to literally lend my voice for nature and animals. And that's how it happened. And for inspiration, it's been really easy, because before my music was very introspective, or different kinds of things that I was feeling in the moments. But with this, it was so easy to get inspired because there's so much to talk about. There's so much to say about this, and unfortunately, it feels right now it never ends. Like, I'll be very happy at some point if I won't have to say anything else. It means that we will have found a certain kind of balance. But right now, there's so much to talk about this.
I'm glad you said there's so much to talk about, because the word environment is a very broad word, right? What in particular attracts you or interests you when talking about the environment through your music, and even through giving talks, and also through Better Earth Media? What really touches you?
I have to say, it's really like the kind of broken relationship that humans have in this moment. I feel like we have been keeping a distance. We are not integrating ourselves. We're not feeling as part of nature. We're feeling a kind of entity outside of it. And I feel what we need to do the most is just to reintegrate ourselves within it together. We're here with the other animals, with the landscapes. We're not here to just take them and exploit them. I think it's about changing our role in nature from this role of takers and exploiters to givers and protectors of everything we have around.
Yeah, that's actually a good point, because I think somewhere along the line, I don't like to blame anything or anyone, right? Because a lot of people say, oh, social media. I think social media can be used for great good, right? I mean, for example, you have a YouTube channel, your music is out there, my interviews are there. I can choose what to look at and what to consume as an adult, right? I know this is a different story if you're a very young person. I think it has different effects on you, right? Mm-hmm. But people will blame social media. They'll blame, actually, I think our fast-paced life, particularly here in the US, where it's go and then go more, talk about your bottom dollar. I get it. We have to make a living. but somewhere along the way, just going out in nature and being at peace with a tree, or going for a hike, or like I try to go to the ocean every day because it brings a sense of peace to me. A lot of people have gotten away from any of that, don't you think?
Absolutely. Yeah, it's a matter of disconnection for sure. And sometimes really lack of knowledge because we've
Yeah.
been so enclosed and immersed in our daily, very urban jungle life that we forgot
Yeah.
everything else. I mean, I remember even when I lived in Barcelona, I used to work with kids at some point and they didn't even know what a duck looked like. Like they had no idea or where their food came from or what being
Wow.
nature meant. So it's really a matter of reconnection for sure and knowledge, like really getting informed and know more where we come from and where we should be at this point with our relationship with nature.
Yeah. And you talk about animals, you say you're vegan. And I understand that because, consuming, by not consuming animal products, I'm surrounded by people who consume them all the time, people who are very upset about it and won't. I understand going down the middle. A lot of people, but it's a way of understanding how we consume our foods, right? It's a way of also understanding what it does to the environment, mass production in particular, right? Mass production. Could you touch on that, on what it's doing to our environment of mass production of animal products?
Yeah, absolutely. One of my, it was a big life change at that point. And I had always been vegetarian for animal reasons because I've always been so in love with animals and I couldn't even think of consuming,
Yeah.
So, but then, I got a little bit more informed about the other side of it, which is the whole animal product system that contains also dairy and egg industry. So at that point, I decided, okay, I'm doing this, I'm gonna go vegan. And at the beginning, I didn't know if I could go through with it or not, but then it looked easier and easier as time went by, and I felt better and better also physically. And from the environmental point of view, for sure, like I really, one of the reasons that really pushed me was also environmental, apart from the animal rights side, which is evident, of course. But yeah, plant-based diet can save about 70% of emission of personal emissions, of one person per year. So it's quite significant. So if the world from a, tendency point of view goes towards a more plant-based diet, it will be really, really powerful. And not everybody's ready to go
No.
vegan from one day to another, but everybody can definitely start reducing, or simply understanding more about where their food comes from. And so there are
Yeah.
lots of possibilities, and there's so many new products coming out now. So it's definitely much easier.
We can all make an impact even in a small way, right? We touched upon plastics before we went on the air here. That's a big one. Yeah, you don't have to consume something out of a plastic bottle. I've really made an effort to go and get my drinking water and bring my little thermoses with me. It can be done, and then if you do a little research, like where does the thermos come from? Where is it being manufactured? What kind of products are they using to you just have to look a little deeper, ask a few more questions, and then you can be part of the solution, whatever that is, whatever works for us, right? So I love that you're touching upon that. You're not telling people what to do, but you're sort of, through your lyrics and through your art, you're helping us see what we can do to make things better. Talk to me about where you have performed, because your music has really taken off.
Yes, so I have performed in several places here in Los Angeles. One of the big last concerts was last summer at the Labyrinth Masquerade. It was a very, very big crowd. And then in lots of, historical famous venues here in Los Angeles. I've performed for the National Animal Rights Day and different kind of events. And there was a big break during COVID, of course, but now
Yeah.
it's starting to pick up again. And of course, during the live concerts, it's when I can connect the most with the people, and I see that the audience gets kind of surprised because if they don't know me, they don't know that all the songs touch on environmental issues. Because normally, I mean, there are so many artists that are sensitive to these topics, but maybe they do one song, or maybe they just talk about it outside of the music, but people normally don't expect that the songs are all about that. So I always see a lot of curious faces, and it's very exciting, and I get so much good response also on social media, like, oh, this is so necessary, this is great, we need more music like this, and all the arts should participate, because arts are so powerful, not only because they can reach so many people at the same time, but also because they touch on emotion, which is the thing that normally makes us change. It's the necessary thing to change. You have to connect things through an emotional point of view.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's talk about next week is you're having is Earth Week, right? And your Better Earth Media, which you co-founded, is having next week here in Los Angeles Better Earth Day. Could you talk to us about that? What are you going to have? You're going to have speakers? Will you be performing? Talk to us about how you're participating next week. And that's Monday here. Tell people where that's going to be.
Yes, it's going to be Monday 17th at One Hotel West Hollywood. Better Earth Media is a nonprofit organization that I co-founded with my colleague Jane Elizabeth. And we like to say that through Better Earth Media, we promote everything that is evidently better for the future of the planet. So we usually do talks, live talks, and panels where we highlight all our favorite organizations and artists, entrepreneurs, everybody that is dedicating their work to the future of the planet. So this time it's going to be very exciting because it's going to be a bigger event, because it's during Earth Week, and it's going to be called Earth Day. We're going to have 2 panels, one on media and storytelling for the future of the planet, and another one on food and fashion for future. There will be not booths, but tables where people will exhibit, and a lot of organizations will show their work, and we'll have some samples of plant-based foods, and it's going to be really exciting. And I'm really, really excited because a lot of the speakers are really fantastic this time. There will be Andrea Crosta, another Italian, by the way, a fellow Italian from Earth League International, the co-founder of Veggie Grill, Genesis Butler, one of my favorite activists, and
I can't wait.
Laura, a lot of great people. So we're inviting you. If you are in LA, we can't wait to have you. It's free entry, so it's open to everyone.
Yeah, and they sign up on your website, right?
Yes, betterearthmedia.com, and the RSVP link is there.
Now, I wanted to ask a few more questions. One of them, your name. Your performance name, Inanna. First, I want to ask, what does that mean? Next, I want to ask the meaning behind the title of your book, Acrotopia, which is pretty outstanding. Then I very much briefly want to touch upon you as an Italian, being born in Italy. And go ahead. So first, tell me about the meaning behind both of those names, would you?
Yes, so Inanna was an ancient Sumerian goddess, actually. When I thought of creating this new music project dedicated to the environment, I thought, okay, I really need a big name. I felt that my own name was not big enough to contain such enormous topics. I needed a big name to sustain it. So I felt maybe a name of an ancient goddess would work. And we found Inanna, my husband and I, at some point, and I really loved the fact that she was the goddess of love and harvest and justice, but also war and rage and everything that was, fighting for the good. And I love that duality side of it, because I feel that's exactly what we are living right now.
Yeah.
Considering our relationship, with nature, there is a lot of hope and willing to change, but there's also a lot of desperation and incapacity to think, oh my God, what are we going to do now? Are we going to be able to fix it? So there's a lot of light and dark. So I really loved this name, and also because it contained a little bit of my name in Anna.
Yeah.
And
how about
Acrotopia? Yes, Acrotopia was a name that we made up. Acro means high, if you think of acrobatics. When you think of the future sometimes, or an ideal future, you think of utopias, right? But it always feels like something unattainable, something that is too far or too idealistic, or you think of dystopia, which is the opposite, something disquieting
Right.
and something scary that you don't want to even think of for the future. So I thought we need to think of something that is inviting and that is possible and that we can all achieve together. And acro felt like it's the higher place, it's the higher states that we can all achieve, acrotopia. And so the whole project was born in this spirit, simply to invite and lure people into a world of possibilities that is attainable.
Now, you were born where in Italy? If you could tell our audience. I know you studied in Barcelona, but you are from Italy. And then please tell us the fun story. To me, it's a fun story of how you ended up here. Let's just say house swap. I'm just going to say that. So talk to me about growing up in Italy and, how it inspired you into who you are today.
Yeah, I was born in a very tiny island close to Venice that is very similar to Venice. It's just very small. It's called Chioggia. And I grew up there until my early 20s. I was living there. And then I
Wow.
went to Barcelona to study. I was there for several years, and that's where I met my husband in the big artistic expat community of Barcelona.
Yeah.
But I always felt it wasn't the place where I wanted to live forever. So at some point, my husband and I were literally looking at the world map, like, where are we going? Like, I don't feel like going back to Italy. I want to go beyond somewhere, but we didn't know where. So we thought, why don't we just try to do a house swap with Los Angeles? We've never been there, and it's a great place for creative minds. And we both speak English between us because he's from Norway. So maybe it would be great to be in an English speaking place. And so I just entered one of those websites for house swapping. And I think it was just in a week. Like, it really felt almost
Wow.
meant to be, because in a week I found this lady in Pasadena that wanted to swap a house with Barcelona, where we were. We had an apartment in the center, so it was a perfect situation.
Wow.
And that's how we came here the first time. And then it happened over and over again because she loved Barcelona and we loved it here. And yeah, that's how we thought, okay, now we must get a visa and try to to
Try to
come.
stay.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it
And
was
being being here in Southern California too. I mean, there's so many beautiful places to go to get inspired by nature, right? To do what you do, I imagine, right? Because you stayed here and I know you love it here. You love Los Angeles. Does the community feel very welcoming to you for what you do as an artist?
absolutely, absolutely. That's actually the main reason why I fell in love with this place, because I've always felt very welcome as a foreigner, as an artist, as a nature lover, as a vegan, or as a it's like communities are really strong and supportive, and I love that. I had never felt that before. And I love Los Angeles because I feel it's a place where people come to be the best version of themselves. And I
Yeah.
think that's something, of course, you can't generalize, but it's something I really perceive, and I really love that. And of course, the artistic community is so vibrant. I've done so many more things here in 4 years than what I've done in Italy and Barcelona in a much longer time.
Speaking to our Italian audience, right? Um, what was it like growing up in a tiny island outside of Venice, right? Like to me, it just sounds so incredibly exotic. Were you always by the water, getting inspired by looking out at the sea? What was it like there? Because obviously, I'm a big believer that whoever we were as little children and what we gravitated toward is who we really are, who we're meant to be. So, what was that like growing up in Italy for you?
So it was definitely an island, I have to say, in all the possible meanings, in the sense that it was great and incredibly historical. Like, every little corner has so much history, but it was very closed, like a little bit, closed-minded, and it was a little bit hard to get, a lot of inputs and different inspiration, being such a closed place, literally an island. So I always felt that in spite of all the inspiration that came from the history and just being born there, but I wanted to get out. I needed to get out. I needed to be part of the world, like a citizen of the world. So first I moved to Venice and I studied there. And then from Venice, I went to Barcelona. Like I felt like I went from the little island and just expanding until I came here, which feels probably one of the most open and progressive places in the world right now. So it felt like going from a deep past to the future.
Wow.
A journey from the past to the future. Yeah. And now everything I do is future related. So it's kind of curious. It's kind of having this heritage and everything that Italian history gives you, as a core, but then really bringing it into the future.
Yeah, it's a terrific answer. Is there a shout out you'd like to give to our audience before we let you go, including Monday's event? Anything you want to tell people to inspire people? Go ahead.
Yes, of course. So if you are in LA, you're invited on Monday 17th to One Hotel West Hollywood, and I hope to see you too, Deborah, of course.
Yeah.
And Acrotopia is available on Amazon for everybody who wants to order it. And my music is everything. All the links are on www.inannamusic.com. And what I want to say is just be kinder to the planet and animals, and just simply remember that they are there with us every day and not for us.
Beautifully said. Thank you so much for joining us today on our podcast. I appreciate it. And our show, our interview can be seen on Facebook and on YouTube, and of course, Instagram. And then we transferred over into an audio podcast, right? So you can listen to it, download it. You can find it on Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and anywhere that you get your podcast. Just put in our name, Deborah Cobalt Live and Little Italy Podcast. So it's been a great honor, and I've enjoyed meeting you at some of the wonderful events that we do have here in Los Angeles, where we both belong to a women's group, right? They've been kind enough to let me join because my Italian is not so great, but it's a wonderful group of women, and that's how you and I became acquainted. So that was just through that connection. So thank you so much.
Yes.
What's that?
Shout out to the diva, the Italian women in Los Angeles, for sure.
Really a magnificent group of people. So thank you also for being so inclusive. I'm glad we met there. And thank you, everybody, our audience, for joining us today. And we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Deborah. Thank you so much.